So our bell work gave us a little bit of a introduction to this. So here's what I want you to do. Let's just make let's make 4 columns. So 4 columns means 3 lines, right? Okay. And in this first one, we're going to write means positive. This column we're going to write means negative, means 0, and this is, oh gosh, what's the good title for this column? The real world situation. Okay, we already touched on a couple of them. We talked about when you deal with negatives, probably money.
This other interruption.
Woo.
The last one. Thanks for calling students to the office. Elizabeth Bradshaw, Darren Cox, Kayla Kennedy, Emma Collette, Alexandria Kasperzak, Jake Leidner, Eric Ockman, Sydney Page, Luke Ferrari.
Start to think about some more real world ones while we're waiting.
Elizabeth Coleman, Brooke Bonner, Kate Boudry, Katrina Tyler, Jaden Bruce, and Eladio Roberts, Bailey Ziliak, and Preston Thompson. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. So in the real world, when we're talking about money, give me, if you're thinking about a bank, okay, what word would mean, oh, that's a positive number, Brian?
Money.
Yes, but what about money? Money can be either what or what from a bank? Invested, but deposit, right? So when you deposit money, it means plus. Now, I had somebody say, I think it's the opposite of that. I think that a deposit should be a negative. And I knew exactly what they were thinking, but I wanted them to explain it to me. What was that person thinking? Yeah. Yes. They were thinking about what's in their pocket, right? Meaning, I had $100 in my pocket. I deposited it into the bank. Now I have minus $100 out of my pocket. Okay? Here's what I need you to understand, though. When we are talking about money and deposits, we're always talking about what's in the bank. Okay? So keep that in mind. So if I deposit money into my bank account, it's a plus. My balance goes up. What word would it mean? I just called you your sister. I've not done that all year, Bryn. That's funny. Go ahead. Yes, a withdraw. Very good. I don't know why I just did that. Withdraw. Okay? Withdraw means I'm going to the bank. I'm taking some $50 out. My account now is negative 50 in it because it's $50 less. Okay? There aren't really words. This means 0 column. They might be, it just means you didn't do either, right? It just kept your balance the same. Right? Yeah, you just checked your balance. Good. You just looked in there. Okay? Football was the other example we used, right? Oops. Let's write that here. So Roger helped us figure out what word is it? What 2 words do they use in football that mean positive and negative? You can either have a gain or a loss. What is gain? Positive or negative? Gain. But when you're dealing with a loss of yards, you guys understand what that means? You have a line of scrimmage and they push you back. You're trying to get 10 yards for every downs that you have. So this is a loss. And I don't know that they really do they have a word really that it just kind of stays the same, right? Neither, I guess. Like I said, some are neither gain or loss. Okay? All right. Since we're on the sport part of this, I'm going to put this word here. Tell me what you know about that. Think about what you know about most games. Isn't the goal to get as many points as possible? Football, basketball, baseball, you want the most runs, the most baskets, the most touchdowns. Golf, however, is what? You want the least amount of strokes, right? Do you understand what par means? Okay. This is good to kind of introduce this to you. what people do when they make these golf courses is they say, all right, for the average person who's playing, I think that from the time they tee off, they should hit that ball into the tee, into that hole in 3 strokes. Which means they take the ball and they hit it once. It lands. They go get it. 2, 3. At the end of your 3rd stroke, it needs to be in the hole. That's a par 3, right? Are there some people that maybe take more than 3 strokes? Yeah, right here. Okay. Are there people that maybe can get it in less than 3 strokes? Yes. So how does this play into our positive, negative in the real world? Tell me what you think. Think about what that would mean for your score. Mace.
If you go over the par, that means you're going to lose. The score's going to get higher. And if you make it on or underneath.
Okay. All right. So he said if you go over par. Good. So if the par for hole number 7 says you should make this in the hole at the end of 3 strokes, your par is 3. What if you make it in 4? Your score went up. So this is if you are over par. Do you agree? Okay. If you go over par, you go over the average number that you're supposed to do to sink it in that hole. Okay? So then if you're supposed to sink it in 3, but you really sank it in 4, then your score went up 1. Right? Okay, how about this? Then this would mean you're under par, right? So if I'm supposed to sink it in 3, but I sink it in 2, then my score would be a -1 for that hole, right? Do you understand? Okay. What would this mean then? Par, right? That means you made par. Your score doesn't go up, your score doesn't go down. Okay? Or it's a change of 0. I mean, you still count your strokes to keep the score, but you understand what that means, okay? So anybody ever watch like the PGA Tour? Your parents have it on, and it's like the most boring sport in the world to watch. But so you'll see Tiger Woods -8, like that's great, right? Okay, all right. So you kind of understand how par works. They even have names for like when you go over or under, right? Does anybody know them? Birdie, yeah.
There's eagle, birdie, bogey, double bogey.
Good. Eagle, birdie, double bogey means 2 over, right? Is that right? Bogeys are over, birdies are under.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a whole cool thing, but basically, that's another example of integers in the real world. Anybody think I have 2 more on my list, and it has to do with science and our environment around us. Where do you go swimming? Or I guess you could do pool. How about sea level? Think about that. Sea level. Sea level would mean if it's a positive, you are above sea level, like the mountains in the geographic, those forms, right? So you are above sea level. And what would the negative values be? Below, yeah. But like where all the marine life takes place. Below sea level. So what would 0 mean? You are right on the surface of that. Right? Right at the so you're at sea level. Okay? Mountains are way above sea level, right? You know what a valley is? Okay, so let's say like here's the sea and then a valley or dips, right? Okay, maybe so valleys are below sea level, okay? You ever hear Death Valley? Okay, so we're going to do a little slideshow tomorrow. We're going to talk about how many feet below sea level Death Valley is and stuff like that. And the last one, I can't believe we haven't thought about it, but it's just starting to get colder out. Temperature, right? Yeah, the most, the most obvious one. Usually kids start with that. And last year I had a ball with this because how many cold days did we have? The temperatures were below 0. We really talked a lot about temperature last year. So if it's a positive value, it means that your temperatures are above 0. Negative temperatures are obviously then kind of like sea level, like except just 0. And then every now and then, the off chance the temperature is exactly 0. It's exactly 0. Okay? So at, above, or below. And that kind of gives you an example of how we deal with temperature in the real world. And you know what I want to show you real quick? I want you to think about temperature like this. See this right here? This is a number line. And this is the number line we're used to seeing, right? It just goes straight across like that. Isn't this what you think of when you think of temperature? You just take the number line. So a thermometer is just a vertical number line. So you have to kind of know, instead of numbers being to the left or to the right of each other, they're going to be above and below. So this is easy to think about with temperature. I'm going to get you something to think about before, this is later in the week, but if the temperature was 5 below 0, and an hour later it was 10 above 0, what degrees did it change by? 15, right? So because it had to go 5 just to get back to 0, and then it went 10 more. So it changed by 15 degrees, right? What if the temperature was 10, and then an hour later it was -5? What did it change by? -15. Very good, because if you say it changed by +15, then that would mean it was 25. Do you see how negatives are really important with that? Okay, so negatives in the real world. So I want you to get that number line out that I gave you.